A man getting bit by an alligator and he screams.
Okay, quiet. Hey, quiet.
Stood out towards me.
Oh! No, not an owl. A real scream of pain.
Let's roll it.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. I really don't. I'm just
All right. Okay, we're gonna
let's
go straight to tape here. All right.
no
Welcome
fucking
back.
around, man.
All right, take two.
Get your podcast face on.
All right, take three. Take three. Okay. Welcome back, Screamers, to another episode where we try to disentangle ourselves from ourselves. Today, a couple films that we're behind on talking about in Together and Weapons, and then a new segment where Were We Wrong About, which is kind of like, Are We the Assholes, right?
Right, yes.
In which we are going to take a look at 1994's The Crow. But first, I want to say to all the listeners out there, if you hear anybody talking about Robert Redford's death in a way that you do not approve of, report them to their employers.
We will not stand for any sort of generic movie fanboy culture out there at all. We won't.
That's
you
right.
either follow. You're either with us or you're against us, and
there is no
that's
middle
where
ground.
there is no middle ground, and we will not stand for, bad words being said against
bad words,
Mr. Redford,
like
words,
like yucky or
right,
just bad words. So I just wanted to get that out of the way.
It's good. It's good to lay the groundwork.
Yeah. Right.
You always ask me that when we come up on the podcast. And,
I do.
Luckily there's zero going on in the world today, and everything seems to be calm. And so fine. And yeah, I've got nothing to talk about, and it's probably just for the best. Let's just leave it at that. No, I haven't.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no commentary.
Pretty boring.
Everything is great. Even at AMC, there were movies that were being shown. I was just going to say, there's nothing going on, so it's fine. What I was saying was that AMC seemed to be showing some, lesser known films, Lurker for a while and Splitsville for a while. I don't know if Splitsville's still showing or not. I think I might have missed that one at the theater, but they were showing Twinless, which I highly recommend to go out and see. And then they look to be showing the Baltimorons. I think was that what they called? That new Duplass film? Baltimorons. Yes, that would make way more sense if there's an actual city with the more in the title. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a very good podcaster, so I think we've come to establish that.
Here's the thing. Just imagine what would happen if we were too good.
I know, right? Yeah, that's the gift we give to you guys is that we're not so good that you feel like you're obligated to listen or to be a part of this.
And if we do this long enough, we may get to Lion State. I don't know.
Yes, someday. You have no idea what you've unleashed upon the world, Brock.
I know. I told myself I wasn't going to do that. But so did you get a chance to catch Lurker?
I didn't. I wanted to, but there was a lot of stuff that was like
right. There was a lot. Right? I mean,
yeah. No, they were not, and there was a lot of stuff that all kind of hit at once, and it just wasn't a great.
Which, again, I mean, I know that we bitch about theaters all the time on this show, but why do that? Why have them all there, at the same, these smaller films, have them there for like the same weekend, and then
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and
not
again,
keep them
like
in.
also, it just feels like there are things that are hidden unnecessarily. I mean, like,
Right.
I shouldn't have to. I don't know. The AMC app is fine. But like, it feels like there's programs and things that they could be doing, like the seen unseen stuff that they could be kind of pushing a little bit harder. And I know that's
Yeah.
a popular thing with them, but like, but I don't know that those it feels like, again, I have the app, right? You know what I'm seeing. You know how often I go. Why not push something out to me and say, hey,
Right.
we've got this going on here, and you want to check this out, or here's the trailer for this. Go see it. But but anyway, that and again, I know that's kind of putting a lot on an app, but it would be nice to be able to see, some of these, or at least know that they're there, easier than, I don't know. It's been a weird time, I guess, just for releases in general, but I didn't, yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
know what the fuck's going on. So yeah, no, I mean, let's get into movies, I guess. Let's talk some movies.
Let's do it. All right. Let's jump into Together. Together.
I love you. Okay. What's going on?
I don't know. Since the move, Tim and I haven't been on the same page.
Please, do you love each other?
Maybe we're just complacent.
Well, complacency can sometimes simply be harmony. This could be the beginning
When you roll over, then you're on my hair.
of something wonderful.
Tim.
We spend our lives in search of the other half. If you think you found that, don't be so quick to let it go.
I think something's happening to us.
Listen to me. Listen to me. We've got to get out of here. Now. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Billy, wake up!
You'll be okay. Whiskey for the pain.
Years into the relationship, Tim and Millie find themselves at a crossroads as they move to the country. With tensions already flaring, an encounter with an unnatural force threatens to corrupt their lives, their love, and their flesh. I like the idea of this movie, kind of showing that like codependent long-term relationship, right? And how like it's like literally it's like literally embodying that kind of relationship, and how like, if we're not careful, we end up sort of losing ourselves into someone else. And so we see that like, actually happening. So yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I like this movie. I mean, it's simple. I like this kind of like very easy kind of horror film. I mean, the body horror is decent enough. I think, as far as like how this is all put together, I think this is a real, like, just quick, simple, efficient, body horror film. There's nothing really all that special for it. I do think the themes you talked about, like, I mean, of this idea, I don't know if, I don't really know if the movie pulls off exactly what it's messaging, because it gets kind of muddled, right?
Yeah.
This idea of
Right,
this idea that you lose yourself, or you have this threat of losing yourself, with, just in in becoming this couple, and then but kind of giving over to that as this movie ends. And of course, at this point you've all seen it. If you haven't, go out and see it. Stop the podcast, go see it, then come back. That's how we do things here.
Then come back and finish the podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Come back and finish the podcast. Don't not.
I mean,
come
like
back.
the whole podcast, not just like this segment, like all of it.
Right. Yes, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah, I mean, the idea that you come back together, and the only way to to have a successful, you either kill yourself or you merge and you become one being, which I think whatever they did at the end to merge those two together was ridiculously well done. And I'm sure it was CGI and just kind of sort of, a merging of those, but it was so good. That was so good.
Yeah.
I think,
and just the oh, hey, when they open the door.
Right. And I think
to the parents.
the idea of the struggle, this couple is moving from New York City or wherever, to some big city, to a smaller suburb a couple of hours away, because they got a teaching job in a smaller place. And Dave Franco's having to give up his music career, but it was already kind of flailing anyway. So he gives us a music career to go move out with his girlfriend that he's not really sure that they're still kind of in this weird spot in their relationship.
But it's a long-term relationship.
Right.
Too,
they're living together,
which is
right?
weird, but it's weird. I mean, so it's it seems like that it's this long-term committed relationship, but it's almost like he's only half in it.
Right.
And they're not having sex, and it's clearly on the sort of skids at the moment. And he's got some kind of trauma from his parents' death.
Right. Which
that just happened, but that to me is not very clear on how that
right. It feels like that's what's driving. I mean, I think the whole message there is that familial drama or trauma drives the fears in relationship and drives this commitment fears.
Yeah.
And so I think, kind of speaking to this idea of especially for, I'm guessing, for millennials and why they're not getting married and blah, 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 whatever, that this idea of your parental trauma, and of course it's ramped up, right? I mean, the parental trauma is that his parents were whatever, and his mom finds his dad, dead, and is in the room with him for the longest time, potentially eating him or whatever. I'm not 100% sure.
It's right. Well, it's not really clear.
I mean, she stayed in the room with him for a long time, right? I mean, so there was that. She stayed. I mean, he decomposed, and so there was,
must have been ripe in that
right?
room.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that, I think those scares, especially at the beginning of the film, were effective. But yeah, I mean, this movie is a little on the nose, but then still kind of doesn't really exactly know where it wants to go. I think it's a lot more. I think it's a better film if you don't try to read too much into the morality or the messaging of what it's really trying to tell you, and just kind of go with it.
But it's right. No, I agree that if you just kind of give yourself over to it, it's much more enjoyable. But it's they almost won't let you.
Right.
Because so much of what they're trying to get at, they kind of shove in your face, right? I mean, it's kind of always there, so you can't not see it.
Right.
I mean, him giving up this music career, of course, it's already flagging, right?
Right.
But it just seems this sort of stereotypical artist giving things up, right, to then be secure, but is miserable about it. And so you kind of know where this is heading. I mean, to a certain extent. And so, yeah, I wish that things were more, I don't know, unexplained, or sort of just kind of ambiguous of why. Yeah.
And I think once they move out, and you get a little bit of that, right? I mean, because once you move out, really the family stuff, aside from, his mom being underneath the sheets and kind of that kind of gets jettisoned really quick. So, I mean, this idea of well, we're going to, we're going to tie all this in together, right? Where, these people are, we're going to make this kind of a really bigger metaphor than what it ends up being. Because once you get out to the countryside, they go on the hike together, they fall down the hole, they discover what assumed to be a cult. They don't know this, right? But they drink the water that then binds them together, and they continually find themselves kind of drawn to one another until they eventually merge.
They give over, and then merge. See, I think I would have, and look, I don't mean to nitpick this film to death, right? Because overall, I think I did like it, but I mean, I think it feels kind of slight to me because I feel like it's trying to do that kind of messaging, and then like we said, kind of gives up on it and just sort of goes for the body. But I mean, I almost would have loved this film if it just opened with them moving into the house in the country. I don't really need the sort of prologue there of him, sort of pining over leaving the city. I'm just I don't, because really what I care about is what happens in that moment, in that setting, right? When they're out there, and I don't need a reason for a long-term couple to have problems,
right? Right.
But you don't need. There doesn't need to be anything specific for these people to have problems, right?
And the relationship dynamic doesn't really matter, right? Because we're given the idea that what's her real name? I forgot. I typed it out too.
Alison Brie.
Yes. Is it? Yes. I don't know why I got caught. Because I always equate her to Annie in Community, obviously. So I lose the thread.
Right. And she's Brie Olsen, right?
No. That was Alison Brie. That was Alison Brie in Community.
I'm confused now. Wait,
maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, Alison Brie. But then the blonde girl is Brie Olsen,
yes,
right?
Yes, that is Brie Olsen. Yes.
Yeah. You were saying you equate her to her character.
Yeah. Well, yes. So, Allison's again, the dynamic doesn't need to play out the way that it's just not necessary. It's not really necessary to the story, right? It doesn't, because his mom issues and him being kind of ineffectual in the relationship again then never really plays out, right? I mean, there's again the way that the mythology works, it doesn't really feel I mean, he drank the water first and dove in, but once they both drank it, it doesn't at that point, then they're tied together, right? So we're kind of made to believe again that he's the weak link in all of this. But again, I don't really, like you said, I don't know, the prologue is not necessary in this case. And again, it kind of undercuts the messaging as a whole of I don't know if this is what the movie's trying to tell you, is that all millennial men are weak-willed and and all have mother issues and are tied to some sort of once they latch onto you can't get rid of them. And there's really at the end of this,
even if they don't want sex as much as they used to,
right? And at the end, there's really no redemption, right? I mean, yes, he offers to kill himself, but so does she, though. I mean, and so it's odd that. It's odd that we have the dynamics play out the way that it does in this sense. But, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you're right. I think it's better to not look too deep into this, because it really, at the end of the day, you have the dog horror, right? You have the body horror where the dogs drink the water. Weirdly,
is that the best dog body horror since The Thing?
Yeah, it has to be, right?
Okay, right, yeah.
And then you also have the weird, again, not looking too deep, because if you start to really piece it apart, why were the rats stuck up in the attic, all tied together and conjoined? Why were the rats going from the field up to, and also, this was a cult that lived in this area for a long time, right? And then kind of, so one, I guess, assumes that everyone in this community is now, back with their full half or their full persona.
Right. Right.
So
there's a lot of that mythology that just kind of goes.
And, the origin of love storyline, is fine. I don't necessarily know, like, again, they don't do anything with it aside from allowing them to kind of like explain why the cult would want them to join again. But again, that doesn't really seem like it benefits the cult in any sort of way. The cult doesn't really seem to really exist anymore. And so it's an odd, adding all of that in, it just seems like it's explanation for, for something that didn't, I guess, really truly need to be explained. This is probably a cooler movie if they just start to get, if we just leave out all of the origin of love stuff, where of course, and if you're not familiar and you haven't seen Hedwig or familiar with the Greek story where Zeus got afraid of our power, the humans' power, so he split everybody in half. We used to be people that were walking around with 2 sets of eyes and 2 sets of legs, et cetera, et cetera. That old story where we're trying to put ourselves back together,
doubled up.
Right. And it almost works better if you just have this kind of inexplicable, because why does the cult guy only exists there to be like kind of a creepy guy.
Yeah. And almost like set up like initially as, oh, is she going to have an affair with this guy? Is he going to be like a jealous boyfriend?
Right. Right.
So, and in the cult, and like that guy, okay, that guy is not that old. So the cult, like, when did it disappear? Right. And why is it like a sunken ruin? Right. Why not have, why not do some weird kind of like Wicker Man thing with like everybody in the community? Do something like that with this film.
And that's what this needed to be, right? There needed to be, they needed to pull back the curtain a little bit bigger. And like, because you're in a town that has kids, right? That has elementary school kids. So a couple of things happen here, right? That they either the cult didn't expand enough to where this is like again, like you said, this should be an instance of where like she should be teaching college students or something, right? It shouldn't be elementary school kids. It should be kind of a creepy Children of the Corn type thing, where you get to the town, the job seems great, but why? Oh shit! Why am I really here? Right? Like something is percolating in in the ethos of this city, and it's So I mean, like a lot of it just doesn't make sense. So this movie needed to be bigger rather than smaller. There needed to be more around it, for it to really truly work. And but I mean, I think ultimately, like it goes by so fast, and it really is all just centered on the CGI body horror. And I think ultimately that stuff really that works. I mean, I think the end scene where they come together is silly but kind of fun, and like the eyeballs coming together, and then of course just the way that they look, right? It's gross.
No, like hands under the skin, just kind of like it's cool. I think this movie looks pretty cool. I think the visuals are pretty cool, and I don't mean to. I mean, I feel like I've been kind of rough on this film. I mean, not that anybody gives a shit if I'm rough on a film or not, but like
Dave Franco's somewhere sitting there going,
I know this motherfucker. Let me call this bitch up, right? Just be like, but look, Dave Franco, if you're out there, like, no, please do give me a call. Like, we'll talk, we'll chat, right? Because overall I did enjoy this film, but the more I think about it, like the less is there. This reminds me, and I know they're completely different movies, but it reminds me of watching Friendship, right? So I'm watching Friendship, I'm laughing, I'm having a good time, and when it ends, I forget about it. Like, it's just, okay, yeah, that was cool. And then I just go on with my day. But I mean, I think Friendship was trying to do less than this movie was. And so
I think the Craig Robinson, not Craig Robinson, but what's his name? Tim Robinson. Craig Robinson's the guy from The Office. Also a friend of them, but not the same guy.
And Craig Kilborn is someone else.
Right. And I don't have I don't know any other Kilborn, so I can't put that together. But you're right. Yeah, I mean, like this feels like, I will say this, that I'm much more likely to return to this and watch this again because it's than I am with something like Friendship, because Friendship is such a, like, once you know the beats, the cringe aspect goes away, and I think the body horror works a lot better here as just kind of, which is a weird thing to say, but like the body horror is an easier watch than just watching the beats,
Cringe comedy.
like cringe comedy that you've already know how it plays out, right? And I mean, this was this Neon that put this out, which kind of feels on brand for Neon, right? It's not really prestige horror, and I think this is kind of right in its right wheelhouse, right? I mean, if like it, you want this to be this movie makes $15 million and you're all happy, and somebody will sell a physical media piece of it, and everyone will go away happy, and we won't have to make Together as the sequel or whatever. TOO together.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, but ultimately I sat in the theater and I really had a good time with it. And I think both of them, like, I mean, look, obviously them being married, I think what they do really well, and I think what kind of puts this over the top for me is I truly believed their dynamic, right? I believed his kind of ineffectualness. I believed her, her power in the relationship, but her kind of unease as well. And this need to kind of like shit or get off the pot kind of, mentality. I think it played all of the beats right. The sex getting sucked together beat plays right. And as painful and as awkward as you think it will be. I think that the therapy pieces, and then the kind of this, when you talk about, it's not called Xanax anymore, it's called this, and like I think all of those kind of humorous beats really work, and then I think all the cringe, I mean, all the really like nerve-wracking beats work really well too, like the when they use the reciprocating saw to cut their arms apart, and I think all of the horror pieces work well. Ultimately, if it's not like a real meaningful movie, who gives a shit, right? I mean, I wish it kind of, I wish it hadn't split that ground as much as it tried to.
Wow. Did you just look at me and say it's not that deep, bro?
I don't think
I said what
bro.
that was.
I don't think I ever said bro.
Okay. All right.
I might have said though, but I didn't say bro.
Yeah, I don't know. It sure sounded like bro. I mean, I know we're watching a millennial film, but man.
Right. Did you see that? I know. Did you see that? China did a CGI and took away the homosexual, the cult leaders, they like CGI'd a female face on his partner.
Oh man. Well,
and then
hey, we're not far away from that, to be honest.
Right.
In this country.
And I forget what the plagiarism piece was.
So
I forget what they were talking, what the movie was called, right? You can't find it anywhere.
Something like Happy Partner, was that? Or like
it's something like that. Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's an interesting story. I don't really know, one way or the other. But the way I understand it, people came to Franco and Brie with this film, with something similar to this film, and they turned it down, or they didn't want to take part in it. But then they got on board with Shanks because they wanted to produce this one. And so I think like part of the complaint, or part of the reason that people are suing, or what they're saying is, they didn't want to do ours because they wanted to produce something of their own, and then they just took this idea and like went over there. And of course, Shanks is like, look, I've had this registered with the WGA and everything. So I have no idea. I mean, I think ideas can be similar. I don't think this is that unique of an idea where like two people couldn't have something, going on there.
If you want, the only thing that is available is the trailer, and it's you can find it if you look for it. I think it's called Better Together, or something like that. It's something.
Okay.
But it is, yes, it's, I mean, like, so I think that the real sticking point was the Spice Girls song, because they used that same needle drop in the trailer, but the indie film that only played at a few festivals and never got distribution, and you can't find it anywhere, is much more of a humorous, it's like they had sex and they got stuck together, and then and then that's it. There's no additional like body morphing. It's just them two trying to figure out how to, like, they can't separate, and so now they got to navigate this world together. while they're and it's
like coitus interruptus in the grocery store. I mean,
yeah, it's really it's played up like there's like cartoon skeletons that are drawn over the. I mean, like it's very campy. It is played up. The humor is
Gotcha.
really, really ratcheted up, and so there's that aspect to it all as well. So I mean, obviously, I don't think that anybody is going to, obviously, I don't think they're going to win. I mean, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, and I haven't kept track of it.
Seems like something you could very easily settle. It would seem something that we like. Neon could just say, "Hey, we'll distribute your movie on our, on streaming or whatever, and we'll give you,
or just like here's some cash, right? Just like okay,
right.
This is not because in not even in an admission of guilt, but it's just like, look, this is just let's just save ourselves some time, like for all of us in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's some money, go away. Yeah, I think. Look, overall, I think this is a fun film, even if I find it, a little slight if I think about it too much.
Right,
but
right.
I'm an asshole,
Yeah,
so that happens with lots of things. I know exactly. I'm just gonna own it, and I'll keep on thinking about things. Okay, should we move on to weapons?
To weapons? Yeah, let's do it.
This is a true story that happened in my town. So this one Wednesday is like a normal day for the whole school. But today was different. Every other class had all their kids. But Mrs. Gandy's room was totally empty. And you know why? Because the night before, at 2:17 in the morning, every kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, and into the dark. And they never came back.
I don't understand at all. Why just her classroom? Why only hers?
Where are our children?
We have a lot of emotional parents here. I think it's best if you keep some distance from this place.
Matthew, where are you? Where did you go?
This is where the story really starts.
When all but one child from the same class mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. So here's a hot take. I think Krager is a good director.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's my hot take.
Nice.
No, I know. I was kidding. Yeah. Because it's not a hot take. I mean, I think
he's a solid. Yeah, he's put together
there?
A couple of solid films for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. How did you feel about this film?
I really dug it. I thought it was pretty badass. I am how do I feel about it? I mean, like, look, I think it's interesting from a perspective of him coming out and saying it's not really political. And I think that is an interesting kind of thing to put out into the wild. Just because I do think it is. I mean, I think the title, it feels weird to me that like a lot of it feels downplayed, like the Khmer Rouge like photo and like I know it's a Naruto run too, right? So it feels like it's like I know that he came out and said it was, this is a story about me and his partner passing and so there's all of that aspect of it all. I mean, where it's also about alcoholism and how all of these different, phases kind of played in. But I do feel like, with specifically the 217 and the House vote and like the number of votes that the gun control bill, I just feel like there are so many messages there that I just don't know why. I mean, either say that it's open for interpretation and however people want to take it, or just kind of walk away from, or just, not say anything at all. I mean, it just feels weird to kind of like deny those pieces of it. And,
yeah.
And so there's that aspect. I think that would have been, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why you kind of like have to answer those. I would have just said, look, the people can take away a lot of things from this movie. Obviously there's things in this movie, but this for me was a very personal film about, the dealing with the tragedy of and so there's a lot of things in there. I'm dealing with the tragedy of a friend dying. I'm dealing with, historical trauma from alcoholism. There's other things in there. And these are the things I'm interested in talking about. And I'm not going to talk about anything else. I think denying that it was, and again, it's his film, do what you want with it. But I think to me, this is what Longlegs should have been. This is a really perfect example of the mythos being this kind of voodoo mythos rather than this kind of supernatural devil mythos that doesn't really make sense in Longlegs, works really well here. This idea of it plays well with the this metaphor does really work. And then I think ultimately when you meet the this movie does a really great job of hiding its villain that Longlegs didn't do. And the villain is ridiculously over the top, but not in a Nicolas Cage way. I mean, there are some silly things that like ultimately a lot of this just doesn't make sense. Well, I mean, it doesn't like hold up to logic. It makes sense just fine. But like this idea that, this kid was buying 800 cans of soup a day, or that the villain is waiting for Josh Brolin in the attic, just kind of like, waiting for him to turn the lights on him. But I think what Kreger's does so well here is that like he's able to create that dread. I also think that the cutting up of the story works well here in a really good way of like introducing us to all the pieces, allowing to kind of ramp up the tension, and then the last 15 minutes are some of the, I mean, like it equates to the vampire scene in Sinners for me as one of like the most badass scenes I've seen on camera this year. And I think that's one of the things that I think what separates Kreger's from someone like Peele. And I know Peele, and not to diminish, but like you're talking about too, and the reason I equate them obviously is because they come from comedy background. They're both now kind of these established horror directors, is that Kreger's has the ability to kind of to really put you on the edge of your seat, and not in like my skin's crawling way, but like has those kind of shock value horror aspects to him that I don't think Peele has. Because if you look at something like Barbarian, just the kind of you pushing back into your seat because something on the screen is scary as shit, I think Kreger's does really, really well. And I think this is a huge leap and bound over what Barbarian did. I think Barbarian was a lot of fun. But I think this is gonna be a signature movie, which makes me really, really disappointed for his next thing, but whatever. I mean, that's...
Well, look, he could breathe brand new life into Raccoon City, man.
I just don't fucking care, man. I
know. That's the other thing. Yeah, like I'm with you. I don't care about that at all. I don't. I want to ask you a question though, because what you just said, Jordan Peele is not the director that I would have thought to equate Kreger with. Well, I mean, like, why did you pick Peele? Why do you hate Jordan Peele?
Because all lives matter, man. That's what I'm obviously just fucking around. No. I don't hate Peele, but I do think that like of the kind of soup du jour horror directors of the day, and the ones that are going to be getting kind of like that main.
See, because I would have I would have picked Perkins.
I don't consider Perkins on the same level as these guys. I think Perkins is kind of a hack.
Okay.
I mean, like,
because I don't either. But I mean, I don't know. It seems like to me that Peele's making different. They don't feel like the same movies or the same types of films. They seem because I agree with what you're saying about like Kreger and what he does and how he makes you feel and how he makes you like, push back into your chair. I think I 100% agree. But I don't know that Jordan Peele's trying to do that.
No. I don't think so either. But I do think so. The reason I equated them in this thing is because I do think that this movie does speak to something that I think Peele does do, right? Where he's trying to utilize horror to basically the historically of why horror has been utilized, right? To shed a light on
gotcha.
Some sort of societal issue, right? Whether you agree with him or not. All of Peele's films have been something to that end. I think Kreger, like if this had just been another Barbarian, then I don't think I would have equated those two together. But I do think that Weapons is one of those films that, like, if you look at this, and I mean, like, again, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, right? But I do, with the AK, and this wasn't an AK. I forget what kind of gun it was. The assault rifle on it.
It was probably an AR-15.
Yeah, AR-15. That's right. It was. It was an AR-15 showing up on the in the sky. Your main villain being a make-upped, red-haired, that's ever present. That's always. I mean, again, I see how the metaphor works for alcoholism, and I get that. But we're also like. This thoughts and prayers mentality that this movie also calls out. Right. I just feel like when Weapons is a film, regardless of what the discourse around it is, and I understand why you may not want to get into that and also diminish, again, whatever. I mean, it's not always about the money, but and let people who want to read into it.
Because we're going to anyway.
Right.
I mean, it's just how this works.
But and I mean, you can talk about the biblical verses and all of that, but I do think, again, like, even if it wasn't 100% the one thing that he was trying to accomplish, he put those things in there. I don't think that you can really deny that this is also, about when a single class of kids disappears, right? I mean, like, and this community that's upset about, and looking for blame and looking to,
absolve themselves from evil.
Right, which is what kind of Brolin does. And then, this idea of, like, the Paul character and the entirety of the police force basically throwing up their hands and saying there's nothing that we can do for this. And then, of course, this idea of the end credits, right? I mean, the end voiceover, that some kids got their voice back. Some of them never did. I don't know how you can go. Right. I don't know how you can walk away from that thinking that, okay, well, this is clearly just about alcoholism. I think it works for that, but it also very clearly works for the other. And so that's the reason I equated those two together. Because I think if Kreger continues this path, then where these, like, really, truly social messaging, and I don't think Perkins is doing that at all. I think Perkins wants to make Twilight Zone movies, and that's fine. But I don't equate. And I said Perkins is a hack. That's not really unfair, but like, but I don't think what he's doing is on the level of these other two guys.
100% agree. And it was only, you brought up Long Legs earlier, because, this movie is what Long Legs kind of wanted to do. And I guess that's why I then make that comparison or draw that kind of parallel to Perkins, because Kreger is doing what Perkins kind of wants to do, right? I mean, on a different level. And so that's where I'm like, yeah, you could see that Perkins is not up to this, but he thinks he is.
Right.
He thinks he's doing that. Look, I want to go back to your political talk with him saying that it's not political. I mean, look, that to me is always going to be a cop-out, right? No matter how much I like an artist, when they're like, well, my art is not political. And I just want to go bullshit. The very fact that you're creating something in this kind of society, in this time and age, is political. Just the very act of making something is political, whether you want it to be or not, right? And this film especially just drips with it. So even if we take him, on faith that, well, this is really sort of about like addiction and how, others are weaponized by addiction, or how we weaponize like those around us through addiction. Well, that's political in itself, because like we're clearly not doing enough, right, in this country to treat or help like addiction. We just sort of blame them for their own problems and then kind of, go on with our lives. So, I mean, that's political stuff, not to mention the sort of the allegory of like school shootings, right? Which, I mean, so yeah, how could you? Well, I know they're just kids who disappeared. All right, okay, sure.
Well, and how
right.
how people lose themselves when the bell ring. And again, look, I know that this is very alcoholism coded, right? The triangle is the is the
is the
Alcoholics Anonymous symbol,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course the end credits, all of the and it has the bell on there, it's upside down. About I get it, I totally understand that. And also when they lose themselves when then it takes them over. But I also think again that that it very clearly is also the other thing, right?
Yes.
I mean, and
yes.
and if we humans aren't that complicated, we all kind of deal with things in the same way. So whether it be this trauma or this trauma, and again, not to say that not that it's diminished, but I think it's clearly there, and I don't really know, given all of the visual clues that that are readily apparent, and then ones that you'd have to read into, why you would want to say what you said necessarily. I would think that you'd want to be like, well, okay. I mean, again, just go in and say, you take from it what you want to take from it. The film to me, when I watched this film and when I was putting it together, what was in my mind was, my friend dying, my reaction to it, and the 6 ways that I reacted to it, or the 6 chapters, and then everything else is tied to, again, alcohol, the alcoholism in my family and what have you. So, it's. But that being said, I think it's clearly there. I don't necessarily. I'm not overly concerned about him. I mean, it doesn't diminish the film for me that he's not willing to kind of talk about it. But but I do find it kind of a little weird, a little odd.
Well, right, like to kind of go out of your way to say no, it's not, right? Yeah, I mean, look, we are going to bring, as viewers, right? We're going to bring our own shit to any film that we watch, any piece of art we consume, any book that we read, right? Anything we listen to. We're going to have our own kind of reaction and interpretation based on our lived experience, and that's great. And I think a film like this is rich for that. I mean, I think there's so much to take away from this. The only thing I didn't like was the sort of gun in the sky.
Yeah.
It felt like so out of place, and and I know it's in a dream. I get that. I mean, I understand that it's in a dream sequence, and so, okay, like I get that logic, but from a narrative standpoint, I'm like, I didn't need that. I mean, now you're just like pointing a big arrow right at this metaphor,
right?
And I we don't need that.
Yeah, and you're right. It does feel like the thing that is not necessary. And maybe so I can't really explain why that's there aside from him looking for some sort of him searching for answers. I'm not exactly sure,
but I mean I'm fine with the clock in the sky because that makes more sense, right? Because, okay, everyone disappeared at 2:17, and like you said, you kind of already noted the House votes and everything, like with gun regulation. So, like, we don't really need then the gun right there. Just give us the clock. He's looking for, I don't know. It just really took me out of like the film in the moment, and I was like, that's fucking weird. But well, yeah, whatever.
I will say, I don't know. I think there were some really great visuals. I think the dream sequences really work really well.
Yeah.
I think the pacing, I've heard some people kind of complain about how it kind of dips. The second act kind of dips, but I think that's a problem with a lot of movies, especially as you're trying to build the crescendo of and also, you
and the non-linear structure,
and this movie has to play to the, basically kind of play to the mythos, and kind of it has to explain. Otherwise, people are going to walk away extremely pissed, right? I mean, like, I think if this doesn't like go through and explain the witch and like how all of this works and how we got to where we were, with the boy taking, little pieces of, everyone's name tag off of their cubbies and stuff, right? I do think that's going to draw things down a little bit. I mean, like in regards to the pacing of it all. But I do think, like, I mean, honestly, I think all of the character pieces really work well. I think it spends just about the right amount of time on all of them. I'm always pleased when June Diane Raphael shows up in a film, because she's always funny. And I just thought that this, like, I don't know how you walk out of this film like not just kind of being blown away by the like the last 10 minutes. That last action sequence is so fucking good.
It's so good. It really is.
And
it really is great.
This idea that the kids are the ones that are turned, and the ones that can solve this problem, but deal with. I mean, like, man, I don't know. I thought the gore and the makeup effects, and I think I just thought all of the tension was really well done. I think that's one other thing that Kreger does really, really well is he's really good at framing. He's really good at directing kind of a misdirection action sequence, and then kind of telegraphing his moves just enough to where you get nervous about them.
Yep.
I thought Brolin was really great in this.
I think everyone's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do too.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like I said, then I'm just like, why are we going to Resident Evil? I don't know why. Like,
yeah,
and I get. Okay, so you've gotten your 2 movies that have done well, and you can do a passion project, and he'll get a huge cast.
He's gotta get his bag,
and he'll get his bag, and he'll have a nice enough cast, and maybe he'll be able to do something. But those movies were so forgettable that I just don't know why. This is something like, why are you going to a pre-established property that has had, I mean, like, more movies than I think people know have been released for Resident Evil. Like, there were a ton that didn't get, like, they went direct to video here and only got theatrical releases overseas because they were huge overseas, because overseas, for whatever reason, they just don't care. They just want popcorn, right? I mean, it's like, and to be fair, like, for countries that don't do a lot of producing of their own art or their own movies and things like that, these movies are simple, right? I mean, it's just, I just want to go see big, spectacular, bombastic things on screen. But I don't know how many, Paul W.S. Anderson, I mean, I guess it keeps him keeps him rich. And
I think his name is Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yes. The Paul Thomas Anderson. That would be a coup if Paul Thomas Anderson did the next Resident Evil film.
What if Paul Thomas Anderson actually is Paul W.S. Anderson?
It's just a pseudonym. It's a really, really thinly veiled pseudonym. No one
had any idea.
He's married to Maya Rudolph and Mila Jovovich. So,
hey,
which,
well, and they understand, right? One wife for each persona.
Right. Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
There's no confusion. He can still answer to Paul.
Right. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sundays are for himself. He gets those days to himself.
Hey, so since you said kind of going off to like an established franchise and not doing something newer of your own, I think this is a good time in the program for me to issue a formal apology to Chloe Zhao. I know Chloe Zhao has been waiting for this apology.
You're gonna dial her in
because every chance that I get, I take to shit on the Eternals and grumble about Chloe Zhao doing the Eternals and then being attached to doing the Buffy reboot, and how I wish that Chloe Zhao would do like a new, small, artsy film that like she's good at. And she's doing Hamnet. And by all accounts, it's amazing. It's playing the festivals and it's getting really great reviews. It's got Jesse Buckley and Paul Mescal as William Shakespeare and Shakespeare's wife mourning the death of their son, Hamnet, right? Based on the novel of the same name. And so, Chloe Zhao, I'm sorry. I am sorry for doubting you, and I can't wait to see Hamnet. If you want to fly me out to a premiere, that's cool.
And I think for penance, you need to watch The Eternals and whatever happens with the Buffy reboot.
I will 100% watch the Buffy reboot. There's no question that I am dialed in for the Buffy reboot, but I will never watch The Eternals again. Fuck that movie. Chloe Zhao, please do not ever do another Marvel film. I realize it's not her fault, right? But God.
Do we feel like we're close to this ending? Like, do we feel like this is maybe this is the death rattle for these films? Like, there's really
no.
I guess because everyone's getting excited, everyone's pseudo excited for the gun stuff, but
well, but I think that's the thing is like, how many times has DC been sort of like dead and resurrected and dead and resurrected? And I mean, like, how many times have they tried to do these different movies? They did how many different versions of the Suicide Squad?
Just two.
I mean, with some,
sure.
Yeah, okay, but like just a couple years apart too, right? I mean, like,
right, sure,
and with at least two of the same actors, 3.
I don't recall.
Margot Robbie,
yes. Maybe
and wasn't
Idris
Joel
Elba
Berman in both? No, because Will Smith played the Idris Elba character.
That's true. Yeah,
Was,
maybe and then yes, what's her face? What's her
Yeah.
face? Yes, yeah.
I know. That's terrible of us, but
I forget her
she
character's
knows.
name, right? But
I know.
Yeah. So yes, there were at least 3. Yes,
I think they just keep coming back, and I think that even though Marvel has been in this quote unquote slump, they're going to keep making these movies because they're going to keep doing it because they know that they'll eventually strike it rich again, right? People aren't going to stop going to see comic book movies. People love these things.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily know how well like Fantastic Four did. I mean, I'm sure. Like, I mean, and again, like it feels like it's a snake eating its own tail in a certain sense, especially with its fandom being so toxic. But who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I wish we were.
You don't have to go see
close
them.
To the end.
You don't have to go see them.
I don't go see them. I don't go see them. And like, you can say not you, but like anyone out there can say what they want about that. But like, I don't give a shit about these movies. I don't. They mean nothing to me. And in fact, I get more turned off when they get so hyped up, right? If they were just kind of like, if they just put them out, and it was like, hey, another like whatever movie, I'd probably be like, okay, cool, I'll go like watch that and just be entertained. But God, I just feel like, and I know that I've bitched about this before, but it's like, I've got to know all the different variations of Batman and on like which Earth like Iron Man is on at this point. And like, I don't care. I don't care about Earth 374 beta. Like, just don't give a shit. Right.
That is the best Earth, though. I mean, so right. So if you were going to care about something, that's the one you want to care about.
Beta Earth,
right?
Yes, yeah, Beta Earth.
If it was
Alpha Earth,
if it was just a method for you to get more Florence Pugh. I almost said Frances Pugh, which is her twin sister that no one knows about. But then
you just told everyone. So
well, the word had to get out at some point. So.
You heard it from the proletariat first.
Right. Yeah. What were we talking about? I mean, weapons and then, yeah. Oh, and then you, Chloe Zhao. You were apologizing to Chloe Zhao.
My apology to Chloe Zhao. And then you asked me if this was the death rattle of those comic book movies. Yeah. And then I went off on a little tangent because they make me angry. Well, they just take up, I mean, this is the thing, like they just take up all the air in the room.
Well, they do take up a lot of the theaters for sure.
And all the theaters. But that's what I mean, right? They become like this, stupid monoculture where that's all we're going to talk about when these things come up. And even when they're shitty, we devote so much like ink and like airtime to, right? Or podcast time to. I mean, it's just like everyone has to talk about these things, right? Or write about them. And like, and for how many years now, the story's been the same. These are bad. These are not good. Right? What happened to Marvel and Kevin Feige? Did they lose their mojo or whatever? And
right. Yeah. And yes, I mean that there is that aspect of it all, right? I mean, so what are you going to do?
Okay. Well, earlier you talked about like kind of knowing the rules of a certain world, I think, in Together. So let's talk about a film where I have no idea what the rules of this world are at all. And let's talk about The Crow.
People once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes, just sometimes, the crow could bring that soul back to put the wrong things right.
You're all going to die.
Is that gasoline I smell?
Victims, aren't we all?
The night before his wedding, musician Eric Draven and his fiancée are brutally murdered by members of a violent gang. On the anniversary of their death, Eric rises from the grave and assumes the mantle of the Crow, a supernatural avenger. Yeah, look, so I remember seeing this back in
94.
high school. Yeah, well, I feel like it was like a year later that I saw it, and like we rented it on VHS. Like the like my girlfriend at the time, and I remember hating this movie then, and just be like, why? Why am I like watching this? And I understand like it's because really of the tragedy behind it, right? Of Brandon Lee's death,
Right.
But man, like yeah, I just here's the thing, like I don't know why I should care about these characters, like ever. I mean, I'm sorry that they got murdered, right? Like, that's not cool, right? That's not cool. But like, I know absolutely nothing. I mean, like we come in right at the murder. And
Right.
so I don't know anything.
You don't know their history.
But you're asking.
You don't know
Like,
why they
not
were in
even a
love,
little
right? I mean,
bit.
like, yeah, and you have to go through Sarah, right, as the as
Right.
kind of the narrator for you, and you know, a hard scrabbled kid telling you the ins and outs of rundown Detroit or wherever this. I think it is Detroit, but this. I went into this with. Because I felt the same way. Like I remember every time I would see like, and especially when 2024 when they announced, and I know they've been trying to do a reboot for a really long time. That's not new. That's been on the slate. I mean, really forever. I mean, it's like as soon as a couple years after they make one, they want to make another one, right? And so I remember I've just always thought that I don't know. I just. Like of all the series that have been out there, that have been, that have gone on forever, this is one of them. And it's like, was this movie ever good? But then you look at the reviews when it came out. You look at the IMDb; it's a 7.5, and
you talk to people about it.
Yeah, and it still gets artwork. It still gets fan art. People, it's got its own Reddit thread. Like, I mean, not that that's necessarily an indicator of good or not, but like. But
that's the mantle of true art,
right? If it has its own Reddit thread, but yeah, it was one of those ones that I was like, I remember when I watched it then, and of course, I think it did really well. It did financially. I mean, like that. I was just like meh on it then. Not like I didn't hate it necessarily, but I was just like, yeah, okay, this is just. It's very MTV of the time. Like, right, where it's like, it's, I don't know, it just has that aesthetic, right? I mean, like, whereas like everything was kind of Nine Inch Nails and this kind of rainy, street driven, like
right,
dark and goth.
It's got that like kind of like Seven vibe. I mean, yeah.
So when I went back to watch it this time, I was like, okay, well, there's clearly something that people have connected to. So I'm hesitant to like, kind of shit on this big in a sense because I do think it connected with people in a way that I can't really figure out why.
Well, because I mean, it let people be goth, right?
I guess, but I mean,
it was like, oh, that's like it's like representation.
Sure.
Right? I mean, seeing oneself and like that's cool, that's fine. Doesn't mean that it's still not like a shitty film.
Well, I will say this because I watched it a while back when we talked about it, and then I watched it again because we had taken a minute for us to record since we did the Fantastic Golem guys, and I wanted to refresh. I will say that it works better. Like, this is a movie I think that if you had connected with it in 94 and had it on VHS in 95 and you watched it over and over and over again, this does work better when you kind of let yourself go. It's not a great movie. I'm not gonna argue that I'm walking away from it going, oh man, this is an amazing piece of cinema. And like,
you just don't get it, Brock.
Proyas is a really bizarre director. Like, he's been attached to a ton of things, but like his career outside of Dark City is really garbo. I mean, like it's not good. Yeah. So, but like I will say, like a lot of the flaws kind of get forgiven, I think, if you just kind of had this on in the background and it was a thing that you saw over and over again. What I don't really understand, and we'll talk about in a minute, is I don't really understand the hatred for the other films, which I know you didn't watch, but I did. But I want to talk about them. But because they're not. It's a weird, like, I think it was just because it's not as weirdly moody or for whatever reason, but it like a lot of the other films, subsequent films, kind of solve the problems. They're not good movies in and of themselves, but they had you kind of like Frankenstein monster all of them together. I think you would have solved the problem, because this movie, I think that to me, ultimately, The Crow's story, which is also, it's crazy that it has 5 movies, a TV series called Stairway to Heaven, which has Mark Dacascos in it. I'm not saying his name right, but I love that guy. He's like a great B movie karate guy. And one of my favorite like B movies that no one has seen, but it's really awesome, called Drive, with Kadeem Harrison in it. He's awesome.
I know that movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I know. Yeah.
And then it's, obviously it's got the comic books is where it started. And then there's a web series called Everyone Loves Draven. It's on YouTube. It's obviously more tongue in cheek than, but also like this series is crazy because like the people who are in it. I mean, like this one has a significant cast. I mean, like I know that like Brandon Lee's an up and comer in this, but it's not like, I mean, this has probably got the weirdest cast, like the weakest cast of all of them, and Wincott being the guy who's the one who is kind of the one I think is really like understands the assignment and does this well, right? What's the guy's name from the Warriors who's in this?
Hang on, I just lost the cast list. I had it, and I was going through
because Wincott's not the guy.
We got Ernie Hudson,
right?
He's in there. I mean, Tony Todd's in there.
Yeah, Tony Todd, right? Lawrence Mason's not a nobody who plays 1010. He's the guy who gets killed first. He's the black guy who gets killed
first. John Polito,
right? John Polito's the guy I'm talking about. Yeah,
John Polito's in there. Oh, okay.
But then you go from like the next one has like Iggy Pop in it. The next one has like
David Patrick Kelly's not nobody either.
Right.
David Patrick Kelly was. Yeah. He was in the Warriors.
That's the guy I'm talking about. That's the guy I'm talking about in the Warriors.
That's who you were talking about. Yeah.
But then you get like Kirsten Dunst is in 2 or in 3, I mean, with William Atherton, Fred Ward. I mean, like, and then you've got Hoppers in 4 with Furlong, and I mean David Boreanaz. Okay, that's right. And then like the other one's got Danny Houston and FKA and
I love Twigs. I will watch, and he's like Twigs and Zoe Kravitz. I'm good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Have you seen Caught Stealing yet? By the way.
No,
okay.
No, because dude, these past couple weeks have been.
It's been hard to get to the theater, right?
Oh, it has been really tough. So I mean, all the stuff we have going on, notwithstanding, but then everything like with school and stuff as well. So because if you didn't remember, like listener,
we have actual jobs.
Yeah, and I'm on higher education. So if you don't like something I said, please tell my employer.
He'll post his
But here's the-
rate my teacher link down below, so you
yeah,
can.
rate my
That's
professor,
right.
bitch.
Sorry,
I'm
that
a
didn't
professor.
exist when I was in college. So,
Motherfucker. There's a rate my teacher page for elsewhere.
so
Anyway, but since you brought up, I just want to touch upon like the 2024 version, because look, I don't think that's a great film either, but I do think it does some things better than this original, right? I mean, I'm at least emotionally invested like in these characters, and okay, that's maybe strong, right? But I at least understand kind of like where the trauma and where the bond comes from. Right. I see the vulnerability between them, right, and how they feel when they're together. So I get it, right. And this other one, I just don't like at all.
Yeah, I don't think Skarsgård and Twigs have much chemistry together. I think that's and I think the 2024 version has really bad pacing issues.
Yes,
but I agree with you. Like the world building makes way more sense. So here are the flaws in my mind of the first one. Like you said, we have no connection between Eric and Sarah. We don't care they're together. We don't care that they're married. And like I don't necessarily know. Like, am I supposed to think that Hangman's Knot is a good metal band? Am I supposed to like what makes Draven a character that's honorable other than he was marrying his girlfriend at some point, right? I mean, like, and they took care of this little homeless girl. And okay, so there's that. I don't care about those two characters. The world building makes no sense. So the bad guys make zero sense in this in The Crow 1994. Like, and like all of the other movies fix that problem. What am I actually what am I tied to here? What is the central premise? They're just trying to like light it up, and like they set fires on the night before Halloween to drive property prices down so they can like make money somehow. Like it doesn't make any sense. And like, and it's not in a world like where if you go back to like Punisher Warzone or something like that, where these characters are, where the bad guys are interesting. Top Dollar's not interesting. Like and I think by 90,
and this isn't like a Mad Max world either. Right.
We're supposed to be in the real world, right?
They're nihilist kind of for like nihilism's sake, right?
Right. So yeah, you don't even get like kind of a Jack Nicholson's Batman type of thing, or there's nothing here to tie you to. So there's no stakes in regards to, okay, yes, they raped and they killed these people because Sarah was they were trying to get these people out of this building again to what
like renters' rights,
to what
right?
end? Like right. It's such a episode 1 type bullshit of like we're trying to do some sort of like ridiculous like civil protest and now we're going to run these people out. Just nonsense plot device that doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, so again, like, why do I care about the bad guys? And then also like the Crow as a character is in this movie is not a great superhero, like, because he is invincible, right? So all he has to do is just go from bad guy to bad guy to bad guy and kill them. He can't get hurt. He can't get killed. And he doesn't really feel pain. So there are no stakes other than him like getting revenge. And then the only way that they have to like fix that is that when Top Dollar's incestual, relationship with his half sister, who's also kind of a medium of some sort, figures out that the bird can be killed, or the bird, if you kill the bird, then you hurt the crow. I don't know, like all of it just kind of like plays like why are we even bothering with any of this? That's why I think that the 2024 version works so much better, is that these are two damaged individuals. Yes, we spend an inordinate amount of time with them. I don't think we need to spend 45 minutes.
Too much
right?
time. We spend too much time with them. This is very much like movie of two halves.
Right. But you get the fact, okay, but in the 2024 version, the idea is that he can save her life. If he kills the people that kill her, she can come back and they can be together again. So now there's reason to do this, right?
Right.
This is not just some crow bringing somebody to get revenge. This is a guy trying to get a means to an end, right? But his love has got to be true. So that works as well. Like now he's not, yes, he's invincible, but he still gets hurt. He still feels all this stuff. And then when he doubts the love,
and he's a shitty fighter,
right? And I think the other thing that this, and again, I know we're 30 years later and I know CGI is what it is, but like, I think 2024 version understands the violence. So when he becomes like the crow, he fucks shit up, right? I mean, he's like, and it's really gory and it's really bloody and it's what you want. He's tearing, and the main bad guy is supernatural, which I also think is necessary because otherwise, if he can't be beaten in 1994, he can't be beaten. They can shoot the shit out of him, but he can't be beaten. Then it makes no sense. Like Danny Houston's a way better bad guy than Top Dollar is in this sense because he is basically the right hand of Satan. I also think
he's stealing souls.
The 2024 versions gets the makeup right. None of the other versions with the death mask is always contrived and stupid. But this one I think really works well. I like Skarsgård as a crow. I just wish it had better pacing. But then it makes me wonder, like, of the people who like the first one, there's never going to be a version that they like that's and I think this probably kills this version because I think this probably puts a pin in the crow for a really long time. But like,
yeah,
they're so beholden to that 1994 version and what it meant to them at the time. This is there was never ever going to be a version that was going to be good in their minds in regards to living up to this original one. Even though I think I would have thought watching this one, the 2024 version gets the closest to what I think it's probably closer to the actual comic book. I mean, like, and of course, like,
I was going to ask if you knew anything about the comic because I don't.
I have, and I know
as we've talked about, like my feelings on comics in general. Sorry,
I know it was written like the original author wrote it after his girlfriend got killed by a drunk driver, and it was all So I mean, like, and then he has a lot of regrets in regards to Brandon Lee being killed, and I think that mythos is really what I don't think this movie is remembered if it's not for Lee dying, right?
Yeah.
If Lee goes on and makes other films and is a Jean-Claude Van Damme, but also like this was an interesting movie for him because he dropped like 30 pounds. He wasn't like, he was still set to be like that. It was going to be just another kind of mid-level action star, really. Like he would have been, and then this is not, I say these words and I understand that these men came from action careers before they got to American cinema, but like Jet Li or Jackie Chan, where, and Brandon Lee was a much more attractive man than those two. No shade to Jet or to,
hey man,
to Jackie.
Everybody's got their something. It's okay.
But I do think his career path, if you look at the movies that he was in, this is going to be another, like, that's the other thing that I found really, really interesting about this is that it doesn't really like, and I understand like he's a heavy metal guy, Hangman's not, but like, why didn't you play into his fighting ability and showcasing some of that? Because it would have made it more interesting. Now, when he dies, they do alter the script a little bit. They altered the movie a little bit, right? And he shot most of it, and there were 3 days left of like pickup shots and things like that. So they were mostly done with the film. They cut a few things out. Obviously, his death is not shown on screen. Like that actual sequence is not there. There was a sequence in 94, much like there is a sequence in 2024 about the in-between world. And so Michael Berryman was going to play a part in basically shuttling Draven between the netherworld and the real world. So he's going to go back and forth a little bit. So I think that would have actually helped the movie to kind of explain that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would have saved it in any sort of sense. And I think like it feels too 94, Batman-y in this sense too. Like it feels like a lot of the set pieces feel like Proyas kind of working out what he's going to do with Dark City eventually. And then, so a lot of the shot sequences, especially the beginning one, and a lot of the overblown, like him throwing himself through the window and like, the sword fights and I don't know, like, I think what the 94 version does is that's really just so off-putting is that it really needed to give us something more of their relationship. We needed to spend, or we needed some more voiceover that kind of explained them. If you didn't even want to sequence that, but like having her dead and having Hudson be the first person that we meet in this movie aside from Sarah, like it just feels like again, why should we care in any of this? And then like it's, again, like a lot of the mythos doesn't make sense. I mean, like why do they wait a year to come back on Devil's Night again? Does he? And again, there's no stakes there either, right? I mean, like, does he have 24 hours to kill these guys? Does he feel every bullet shot? I mean, like, it makes this is a better movie if nothing. Right. If there's a struggle for him to do this, like he has a timeline where he has to kill all these people. And Top Dollar can't help himself but fight. He knows that, but he can't help himself but fight these guys. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing. He just goes, okay, well, I'm going to go kill 1010. I'm going to kill Fun Boy. I'm going to, and that's, all these, and all these other stupid names. This reads like a Dick Tracy novel, right? Or a Dick Tracy movie.
It's right.
But yeah, I mean, like
without Al Pacino.
And look, I know you're never going to go watch it again, but if it happens to come across, you'll be like, all right, this is, I mean, whatever, you'll know the beats.
There's nothing else on. I'll put it on.
Right.
Just kind of like taking that.
I don't think anybody's really like, aside from our Warriors guy, no one really truly understands the assignment in this. They're all kind of like, they're all spouting like comic book lines, right? It can't rain all the time, or I'm, move and you're dead. And he's like, I'm dead and I move. I mean, that's all trailer bait horse shit. Like it should never have been in the actual movie.
So I know. It's bad. I just don't think I don't like it at all. I just don't. I just don't. I think the writing's bad. I think all that shit's bad.
So there were 3 other ones and I watched all of them. City.
That's how dedicated you are to this show.
Yes, and just in general to bullshit. Just just things that I don't need to do, and I could have been productive. I could have done other things. I could have paid attention to my family members or whatever. I mean, there's those. Look. That takes a lot of work. I think we all understand. Like watching the other Crow movies. So, City of Angels. Again, all of them kind of fix the bad guy motivation problem. And so City of Angels, the guy's name is Ash Corvin instead of Eric Draven. But his kid gets killed. And it's got Mia Kirshner in it. And Iggy Pop plays this guy. Iggy Pop plays this guy named Curve, and he's just a he's just a bonkers character. Kind of like anytime Hopper shows up on anything, he's just like, it's just a cameo.
So is Iggy Pop. I mean, he's just playing himself.
Right. It's not, supposedly that one had a ton of interference from the Weinsteins, and like they took away a cut, and there's supposed to be a director's cut, and someone actually put together a fan edit that the director Tim Pope, who was another music video guy. He did a bunch of the Cure videos and never did anything else outside of this. And then, he made a documentary here and there and then would go back to music videos, but he made a ton of music videos. He got taken away from him, and like somebody put together a fan edit. You can go find it out on the web. It's not exactly easy to find, but you can find it. And he basically just adds kind of like a lot of like, I think he found some working footage and then would just add like text sequences about what was supposed to happen in certain areas, and they cut it down and moved it around. Wicked. I think Salvation's probably the worst one, just because it's Eric Mabius is the Crow. And then, but like Wicked Prayer to me is the one that I think, had it not have been David Boreanaz as the kind of bad guy. So like it's way more, it's completely bonkers. Like it's Edward Furlong and Emmanuel Triqui, I don't know how to say her last name. I've never heard it actually said out loud. Are like,
it doesn't exist.
They
That's why.
Right. They're like forbidden lovers, like that no one wants them to be in love, and then of course she gets killed by. But Boreanaz is like he's like trying to do some sort of Devil's Night type of not burning things down, but he's trying to invoke some sort of like spirit to come into him and like be kind of immortal essentially. So like they're just doing like really evil things, but it play, and it's got Trejo's in it as well as Hopper, and I think Furlong plays the role because he's way more vulnerable and like he doesn't know how to fight, and so it's like he's like doesn't really want to be the Crow, which I think really kind of works actually well for that story. But it's directed by the guy who did I forget the guy's name. I have it here. I think I can pull it up real quick. The guy who did Six String Samurai. So it's his next film after Six String Samurai, and but then he never did anything else. Lance Mungia is his name, and then really kind of never did anything after that. But like, it's not good, but it's the closest one that you could see. Okay, this one has something. And if it, again, the two main bad guys are David Boreanaz and Tara Reid, and I think that has a lot to do with why it's not good. But like, had you gone a little bit more bonkers and had a little bit better actors in that, I think you could have kind of done something cool with it, although no one would have liked it. I mean, it was never going to be, it was going to be direct to video. It's not like it was ever going to be, oh, well, this is a thing that like we're excited about.
It seems like a movie that is tailor-made to just let Tara Reid off the leash and just go nuts.
Yes. Yeah. There's a sequence that
be as bonkers as you want.
Right. There's a sequence where she like takes Emmanuel's eyes, and then she ends up like, getting them taken away from her, so she's blinded at the end. But like, but it has sequences kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn. Like there's two Hispanic characters that like play death and another, but they're like over the top crazy, and like there's there's text on the screen that's kind of nuts. It was very much of like, I don't really know how to explain it other than like, you'd see a character introduced and then it would just kind of cut and still frame, and then all this like crazy ass text would come on and explain what they were doing. Right. So yeah, I mean, one of them was war, one of them was famine and pestilence. So like, yeah, the guys who played Boreanaz's like crew, henchmen, were war, famine, and pestilence. And it kind of went through all of those like sequences kind of as a still shot on the screen. It's like the first 15 minutes you're going, okay, this is kind of cool. And you don't hate, like, Furlong was going through some shit at the time, but like, but like, I think Boreanaz and Reid don't know how to play not as a direct to video villain, right? I mean, they play it so high that they can't quite Nick Cage what Nick Cage would have been able to do with it, or like, or like you've got like, I know you've got Trejo and Hopper. Trejo probably would have been able to do it. Hopper, you probably cost too much money to keep him on screen for much longer than what you had him on there.
Right.
But it would have been better to have somebody else play those roles. Macy Gray's in it.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Very, very, like, not very much at all, but yes, she's in it.
Whatever happened to her?
I don't know, man. I really don't. I like that album.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, like,
dude, fuck yeah, that was a banger. I mean, it really was. Yeah, I don't know what happened to her, or like.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I guess I can look it up real quick. Her name is clickable right here on the Wikipedias.
On the Wikipedia.
Let's see. 2016 to present. She put out an album called Stripped in 2016, and then released her 10th album in 2018. 10th album.
That's crazy.
And then, she competed in the. God.
What did she?
So
compete
it's like
in
2020. Jesus Christ! Sorry, I know I'm like reading all this. This is really good podcasting. But like, and so in 2021, Gray competed in season 3 of the Australian version of The Masked Singer. In 2023, she completed in season 10 of The Masked Singer of the U.S. and finished in 4th place. And then 2025, she competed in season 6 of the British version of The Masked Singer. So like, she's really, really like sticking with that Mass Singer money. I guess it's good.
That's.
And then she released an album in 2023 with the California Jet Club called The Reset.
Yeah, called Reset.
And
with
then
like American flags all over.
And then she's headlining on How Life Is in the 25th anniversary tour of her first album.
Yeah, I Try.
Right. Her first movie.
Or no, I'm sorry. On How Life Is, right? That's the name of the record. On How Life Is.
Right.
Right.
That had I Try on it, yes.
That had I Try on it, yeah.
As well as Sexomatic Venus Freak, which I don't remember that song, but
I do.
I'm sure if I heard it, that just doesn't like.
I'm pretty sure Caligula is referenced in that song.
Of course, why wouldn't it be?
That was a good record. I mean, not just the song, because like, look, it's kind of like I Try is kind of equivalent to like David Gray's Babylon, right? It's like it's a good catchy song that if you hear it too many times, you're like that's enough, right? There are other songs on this record. Can we listen to those, please? Right? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then they get sort of like pigeonholed into like, that's the one song that everyone knows. But you're like, yeah, but that's not really representative of their catalog. So, because I know you're a huge David Gray fan, and I'm just trying to like.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it all back around. I appreciate that.
I like, you see how I did that? I like David Gray too. I mean, I'm not like a super fan. I didn't go follow him around like the UK like you did, but.
Yes, that's all I did. I just, I was
you took that one summer to go follow David Gray.
To just follow and like scream out all of his hits that no one else knew except for people in the UK.
But yeah, so you felt at home with all of and people just like you.
She's been in a lot of movies, like
I know,
and like none of them that really exist. Right. I mean, she was in Idlewild with that. That was the Andre 3000 film.
Yeah.
She was in Scary Movie 3 as herself. Yeah, she's been in a lot of like cameo roles, right? I mean, nothing like where like she's been. She was in a movie called Dutch in 2021, and then Dutch 2: Angel's Revenge in 2024. Which again, no idea what those are.
They really don't. They really don't exist.
Oh, okay, it looks like yeah.
Oh wait, she was in Domino. God. Wait, and she was in Training Day.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, these are all just.
I love her role in Training Day.
Okay.
Show me that fucking warrant.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right,
turn your head away. He's gonna shoot me. I think she's great in Training Day. That's yeah.
No. These movies don't exist.
How do
at all?
I was not a fan of Domino.
What? No.
Another reason that Richard Kelly doesn't get work anymore.
Right. Right. But yeah, I mean, like, Tony Scott did so much that. Yeah.
Right.
But no, Domino is not a good.
According to Wikipedia, Kelly, as of 2025, Kelly claims to have 10 different projects in the work in various stages of development. I'm like, sure he does.
Sure.
While no title, casting, or plot details are revealed. He's supposed to direct his first film in 15 years.
Yeah. He's just got like scripts under the bed, like in a shoebox and stuff. So. Is that your cat?
That is my cat. Yes, I'm glad we can. Okay. I'm glad we can hear that. Yeah, he's got a lot of. He's a big Donnie Darko fan, but has a lot of thoughts on Southland Tales.
That's great.
Looks like Kelly's production company did that. I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell movie.
Isn't that the
Tucker Max? Yeah.
Fuck those guys. God,
I know. Man. He came out. I know this is a really great like segue, but like he came out years after like that and like completely turned. Like, I mean, of course, it's all just for to keep himself relevant, but like he was like decrying his old Tucker Max ways and although I think this is a year for Tucker Max to like kind of reclaim himself and to really like find his footing, because I think this is a Tucker Max world if there ever was one.
No kidding. As we were talking about like Tucker Max, I was thinking about like, man, the world back then was something else. I mean, shit like Tucker Max and Girls Gone Wild and commercials and shit. And now I'm like, it's all kind of coming back, isn't it? Like we're sort of regressing back into these giant assholes and like misogynist and racist. And
did you? And look, I'm not gonna. I am. I'm gonna preface this by saying I never subscribed, but would see these ad nauseum. Did you ever see a Girls Gone Wild video, like an actual Girls Gone Wild video?
No. Just the ads.
Just the ads.
Yeah,
I mean, the ads were bad enough, right? But the videos themselves were were creepy as fuck.
Right.
I mean, they were just as gross as like that you would imagine. I mean, just it's really like they should have just called him No Consent. I mean, yeah, I mean, like,
right.
Or roofie the video. I mean, like, it's just, I'm not that I'm saying that I'm not going to defend Joe Francis, but I'm just saying like, I'm not saying that I'm also not accusing him of roofing these girls. I'm just saying he definitely took advantage of people for
young drunk women in front of a camera
and then gave them nothing. And, and then just, I mean, the guy was I don't know if he was a billionaire at one point, but like he had more money than he ever should have had just from that, from those videos. And of course, the whole thing was a scam, right? I mean, like the whole thing was like you ordered one and then it was a Columbia Publishing House thing. You could never get out from underneath those subscriptions. They just kept coming.
They never stopped.
Yeah. Good times.
Well, look, speaking of good times, next time, wait, you like that segue?
I did.
That was good. Next time, we're going to talk about a couple new films, and we'll finally start our journey on the early alts. Robert Altman's first or early films, and I mean, we haven't actually talked about this, but we're going to start with his first proper film, The Delinquents.
We're doing his, like, what are we doing? The 70s to his entire 70s career, is that right?
Okay, so we're not going to start early.
No, I thought we were going to do just his 70s to like from like 70 to 79 or 80. Which would put us right before Popeye, I guess, because Popeye was 80.
Right.
But I thought we were just going to do the 70s.
I didn't know how early,
which is like 13 films, by the way. Like, I mean, it's not like it's like he was.
I was going to say it's still a lot.
He was ridiculously prolific.
Okay, because let me find. Yeah, so The Delinquents was 57, and then he really doesn't do another movie until. Hang on. Because that can't be right. I thought he did something before McCabe and Mrs. Miller.
He did The Godfather, right?
Again. This is good podcasting too. The Delinquents, and then he does. Oh no, I guess that's no. So I guess he really. Oh no, Cold Day in the Park. Okay, so because Cold Day in the Park was before MASH. Well, he kind of got taken off of Countdown. Okay. All right. So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking Delinquents, Countdown, and then.
So if you want to throw in those, if you want to throw those two in,
we're going to start with MASH.
Okay, we can start with MASH. But I mean, if you wanted to throw in the first two, that's fine too.
That's okay. Let's just.
So we're going to go.
No. Let's start with MASH. We're going to go. That'll start it off with a banger. So that's
right. So we're going to go with MASH through A Perfect Couple, which would get us right through 79. Which again is 1, 2, 3, 4. 13 films in a decade, which is crazy because there's not really any
that's more than one a year.
It is more than one a year, and there's only a few that like kind of are really under 6 on IMDb, or 6 and under. It's a really impressive run of films. Let's just put it that way.
Right. Because I'm trying to think, I'm like, man, like I'm going to be interested to talk about all of them, but California Split, I think especially.
Yeah, I love California Split.
Yeah, so this will be
McCabe will be
You
fun
think
to
we
talk.
can get him on the pod?
I don't know if he's going to be available.
Okay. Yeah. Or you think we could like reach out to his
I'll
people?
talk to
I'm sorry,
Bill
that's
Skarsgård because he ended up going
He
into
doesn't
he went to hell because to save FKA Twigs' life and her soul, and she lives now. She's fine, but he gave up. He gave up his life for her. And yeah, I mean, so yeah, maybe he knows. Maybe he can tell us a little bit more about what Altman is doing these days.
Well, now we're just rambling. Okay. Okay. Anything else, Jason, before we wrap up today's?
No, I think
episode?
we're good. I think we're
Okay.
good.
So yeah, go out and see a movie, kids, and yeah. Until next time, thank you all for listening.
And keep screaming. You have been listening to Why Does the Wilhelm Scream with your hosts, Brock and Jason. If you liked today's episode, do us a favor and rate, review, and subscribe in whatever application you use to consume podcasts these days. You can reach us by visiting whydoesthewilhelmscream.com. If you are in the DFW area, we would love to see you at a Fort Worth Film Club event. You can learn more about those and find a full schedule at fortworthfilmclub.com. And you can learn about my foundation and how we are trying to foster the next generation of film lovers at realhousefoundation.org. That's REEL housefoundation.org. Till next time,